Hello and welcome, it's Darius, and thanks for being here. Thanks for opening this email that we sent out, and thanks for just checking out what we're going to be talking about. A little bit about my money story. And what I wanted to do on this page and in this video is cover four really important things. First of all, what is a money block? And what's the big misconception about money blocks? Because they're not actually money blocks at all. You'll find that out. And then we're going to talk about my story and what I learned, getting a chance to meet people like Richard Branson who are billionaires, while I still lived with my parents, and then transitioning into actually just loving what I do and having a great life. Like, how did all of that, after a divorce and losing half my business and hating where I lived, how did all of that come full circle to be where I am now, and what did I learn? And I hope that really will help you. I think it will. In fact, I know it will. And we're also going to talk about really just a game-changing definition of what wealth really is and what it's not. And you're going to learn we've actually been tricked for a very long time into thinking it's something that it is not. And if you get this one thing, you're going to be so far ahead of most people everywhere. And I would encourage you to share this video and share what you learn. And then we're going to talk about some really cool things that are happening at Wealth Revolution, including some deeper support from Julie Renee, who you heard this week. And if you didn't, go back and listen, but she actually went from being homeless and living in her car to now living in a beautiful California estate on 3 acres. And you're going to find out how and how that all came together. So let's first talk about what is a money block and what it's not. A lot of people think that a money block is this sort of thing on the physical side that if someone says, hey, I'm going to give you money, you're going to just say, nope, I don't want it. Most people probably wouldn't do that. Most people would take money if, let's say, they had an opportunity. But it's something deeper than just money. Because if we make it just about money, then we're really trapped in the effect. And it's not money that's the problem. It's very seldom beliefs about money and all of that. Although that can be there, what I've seen and what I've learned through so many amazing healers, teachers, and masters in my own journey is it's not just the money. It's something deeper. It really has to do with receiving and being. Write that down, receiving and being. Now, why do I say that? Because it's about really being in your truth, being in your power. When you're really in your truth, when you're really in your power, you tend to actually be more open to find ways to share what you really care about, to find ways to really share what you really want to be and do, to find ways to really share what you're really about, to find ways to really help and show up. And when you do that, if money is your end objective, it becomes easier to receive that. So really, there's not a money block. I would say it's really a blockage to what you really are, to really being you. And where does it come from? Well, probably most of the time, as we've learned at Youth Revolution, it comes from childhood. It may even come from another lifetime. We're learning now, scientists have shown that trauma can get passed down in the DNA. And if there was a family member, if there was an ancestor that had a trauma around money, that may have gotten passed down to you. And so it also can come, as we said, through family. So if there's been family situations where maybe you grew up and there wasn't a lot of money in the household, and you had someone in your life that maybe like a father or mother that worked a job that they really didn't enjoy, and they sort of had that feeling every day like it was something else they were here to do in those moments, and they just grunted through and they felt unfulfilled, that energy, we now know, can get transferred to you and to me and others as the offspring. So that's where it can come from. But your life doesn't have to stay there. You don't have to be there forever. My story was really interesting because I actually, after going through a divorce and losing half of my company, I had these urgings that I really, really, really wanted to share this kind of message. I was an attorney and I was teaching people how to set up companies and literally how to structure their businesses. And so I was talking about these ideas of money and wealth and companies. But what I realized was after doing that, that stuff had something to do with wealth, But first, it wasn't what I really wanted to teach, and it really wasn't the truth about how wealth was really created. Because every person that had a really great business or company or had wealth, they was something inside of them that was absolutely creating it, almost like a wellspring. I mean, literally, like someone tapped a well, and this water, you've probably seen those movies where someone's digging and they make a hole, and then water just shoots out, and there's this wellspring around them. And we learned in Julie Renee's call that when she was around people like Jack Canfield and the billionaire founder of Priceline, that being around them, it's like their field is just overflowing. It's really large, right? Their energy field is big, and there's this expectancy that they bring into their field that good things are going to happen. Well, for me, I began to realize that, and I also remember teaching people how to set up companies and how to do things, and they still were not able to create wealth. So it wasn't the external world that was creating the wealth. I want everyone to get that. This is one of the key points that we learned with Julie Renee in our interview. It's not the external world. And in her own life, you'll hear how she was living in her car, yet she was a top real estate agent in sales. How is that possible? If the external world was I live in my car, yet she's able to produce all of these sales and deal with these people at a high level, so much so that people in her office were asking her to teach them about what she does and was doing at the time. Then there was something else beyond the external world going on here. And that's really good news, because no matter where you are, no matter how many times you failed or challenges you've had, it's possible for you to shift all of this and have a whole new reality. So in my own life, I went through all of this trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do. And here's what a wealth block looks like. We go in and we get an idea. And people would say to me, Darius, you should teach this stuff. You really know a lot about it. You're really heart-centered. You have this great idea of, making people's lives better. That's the real you. I've heard you talk about it. You were amazing. You should teach that. And all of a sudden, like a dark cloud, the idea of doing it would get darker. And I'd feel all this heaviness, and almost like I could feel these anchors sort of coming down in from this dark cloud of this idea of doing this new thing, attaching to all the fears in my childhood, things that were going on. When I was in PE, and I remember this kid threw me a pass, and everyone's watching, is Darius going to catch the ball? And I totally dropped the ball. I remember in recess doing like basketball relays where you had to dribble the ball, and I couldn't dribble. Being then last picked in the team, and then not doing well in school for a number of years until, I really figured out that I could do this stuff. All of that was still there, and it was tied into all of these events, trauma and otherwise, was affecting where I was now. But the interesting thing you have to remember is that none of this has anything to do with your actual reality right now, because wealth is not created from your actual outer reality. It's your inner reality. And the inner reality, the inner you, as I said on the call with Julie Renee, has never been affected by anything going on around you or outside of you. And this is, what I began to discover. And I'll share really quick, like Julie Renee said, people that accumulated a lot of wealth had a lot of joy for the most part. Now, there are people that, tend to be a little bit frustrated and so forth, but those people, they tend to lose it, or they tend to, not necessarily expand as fast as the people who really enjoy. And I got a chance to meet Sir Richard Branson. Many of you know, he's a billionaire. He's the founder of Virgin Airlines, and Virgin Galactic sent a spaceship into space and all of that stuff, Virgin Mobile. And I was at an event where he was getting an award, and I got to talk to him and get close to his energy field, and it was huge. And right before this award, they're about to call him out on the stage, and I'm like, wow, he's going to get this award. This is like such a big deal. And right before the guy starts talking, he looks down, and there's this little girl in the front row, and she's wearing these beautiful red shoes. And Sir Richard Branson, he's English, and he says, or British, he says, oh my God, look at those beautiful knickers there. And he goes down, and he gets the girl, this little 8-year-old girl, brings her up on stage. He's dancing with her. He's in his own world. He doesn't even... He's oblivious to the fact that people were waiting for him to get this award. There was something inside of him that's just overflowing. He found something. Now, what is that? Is that money? No, it's not. You can take all the money away. he would still be flowing like that. And you've heard the stories, I'm sure, where people lose everything, it comes right back. Well, what is it? Well, if we get back to the etymology of the word wealth, all the way back to 900 AD, more than 1,000 years ago, what wealth actually means is well-being. And all the way back, there was no word wealth. It was called wheel, W-E-E-L. And it had nothing to do with singularly money. It was dealing with well-being. People would walk around and say, we wish you weal. And they would, hope for weal in the future and well-being. And so it was this idea of well-being, that wealth was much more than just money. It was this complete well-being. And when you have that inner well-being, the wealth begins to flow. And because of how we're taught to try to understand the word wealth, we tend to be misled. We tend to be fooled to thinking that if we don't have what appears to be the stuff on the outside, then we're empty and we can never get it. And so most people think, well, if I can get the stuff on the outside, then I'm going to really have wealth. And that never works. So it's an inner game. And the good news is every single person listening in, as we learned on the call with Julie, has that potential and huge possibility for more possible well-being. And so when she talked about that, that was one of the key things. So these are the things I wanted to cover. And one of the things we're also going to be doing that I think is a really great opportunity is going deeper with Julie Renee. She is able to actually activate in your field the same energy that the billionaire Priceline founder, co-founder has, the same energy that Jack Canfield has, the same vibration. And she is going to be doing work with groups, select groups at UWealth Revolution. This is an exclusive to get your energy field activated to 100%. And what that means is there's nothing heavy holding it down from really this wellspring and this ability to receive and generate your truth. And it is activated and charged. So it begins to actually draw in and attract into you this wealth. I want to share a little about that because it's not desire. And this was so interesting on the call and it just mind-blowing. Desire actually, if it's really strong and really clutching, can cause wealth to repel. And I've seen this in my own life, like when things have gone really well and things have exploded and more people have come into UWealth. To me, wealth is not money. It's like UWealth growing and people happy and you can feel the energy. It's always been less concerned about the results and more in the feeling of joy and possibility. Almost in a playful state where things are happening fast and there's joy and there's possibility and there's fun. That is the energy field charged around what I'm doing. And when I find that happens, I find, oh my gosh, somebody called me. They want me to go talk on this show, or this amazing guest wants to come on, or we found out somebody's going to share the message about UWealth, or they want me to write an article. These things to me are wealth because they're furthering my dream and my joy. But when my field is really charged and things are clear and flowing, all this stuff just starts coming in like an avalanche. This is what Julie's going to do for people in this special program, and it's the Accelerate Your Wealth program. If you're curious about it, if you're curious about really how to do this, and it's not going to be a month or 2 months or 3 months, in 21 days. So in a very short period of time, 3 weeks from the date the live calls start, you're going to get a chance to actually activate this. And there's a lot there. So if you're curious, go down and take a look and see if it's for you. And I'll share this as well. She is going to be, for the first time on UWealth Revolution, taking her focus of quantum activation and putting it towards wealth. So this is really special. This is a person that actually has helped individuals regenerate organs. Now, if you've been at UWealth Revolution, you know that Julie Renee does some unbelievable things. There's a story of a woman who literally lost a colon. And through Julie Renee's quantum activation, this woman actually, she began to reactivate the stem cells and generated a new colon. This activation she does, she even told me on the call, I'm not an energy healer, I'm a quantum activator. She's going to be doing this for the first time with money and wealth. So the results are going to be super exciting. I'm going to be in there because, as you all know, even as I tell you, my life gets better and things are great, I continue to do the work because I know there's more and more of myself that wants to come out and should come out into the world. So I'll be on there and on those live calls, and I hope we see you. Do this as well. Like, share your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought about this. If we should do more of these, definitely let me know. I love you. I honor you. And the big takeaway today, remember, first, what one person can do, so can you. Because wealth is not external. It's not based on where you come from or where you live or what you have. It is the internal well-being. And when it flows out, things will come into your life that will astound you. And this internal well-being is the gift of the Creator that we all have. We either have turned it on and we live from it, or maybe not through our own fault, through DNA, through circumstance, through not understanding, or maybe misplacing the truth about what wealth really is because of the word etymologies that we use today, we haven't activated it. But you can, and you deserve to. So know that, and know that your future is brighter. Just knowing that, you know more than probably 99% of the people on the planet today who still think it's the external. It's not. If you want to go deeper and learn more about Julie Renee's program, it's going to be starting up relatively soon. You can click the link down below and find out all the details. Much love, and let me know what you think. Thank you, everyone. I love you. Thanks for being in my life.